What's up, guys? We've got a great episode today with Paolo, where we talk about influencer marketing specifically for Amazon, and a little bit more specifically, why you should do it with Amazon attribution links, but also pay the influencer on each sale that they make. Again, it's hard to do, but it's something that nobody else on Amazon is really doing right now. Before we get into the episode, a quick plug for my agency, Stones Goods. We've got a Calendly link in the description below where you can book a meeting with us and we'll audit your account. Anyways, let's get into the show. All right. Welcome back, everyone. Today, we have a great guest, my friend Paolo. So Paolo has been selling on Amazon for a long time. And I know that because I started selling on Amazon, and that was when I met Paolo back in 2017. So yeah. Welcome to the show,
Sean.
Paolo.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
Yeah. So we were going to talk today about how to use influencers to grow your sales on Amazon, because it seems like something that most people haven't really cracked yet. Like there's not really a standard best practice of how to do this. And Paolo, when we talked before, you had some really interesting takes and some really cool examples that are a little bit different than what I've seen elsewhere on the internet. So really excited to hear about
Happy
this.
to share.
Yeah.
I can give some let's say some context, some backstory. So
yeah, please.
when we met, I think I was about starting my first brand, which is still going. It's basically a skateboard brand, and I designed the product, and eventually became Amazon brand with some accessories, and it's still going. And then over time, I started the second brand in the pet space. And for both brands, I've done all the Amazon things, some PPC, some, listing optimization. And over time, those things, it became more competitive, I guess. It's been a few years. And so people caught up in what was working and what not in different fields. And I guess the products that I have are generally quite visual. So the skateboard, like you see someone using it, like it's something that it can be easily, shown either in real life or on content shared over the internet. And so I started seeing either my customers or, other people seeing that, wanting to, promote it or participate, sharing content with my product. And this is how I started working with them. It was mostly, initially was there wasn't really a system behind it. Now over the years, it became a process a little more defined. But basically, long story short, once either a customer with some audience, it doesn't have to be big. It can be a few thousand people on Instagram, wants to post or starts posting about their new, product, the new skateboard, or in the pet space, it's a treat dispenser for their dog. And so they want to show their dog using it and playing with it. Then that's when it's a good time to reach out and say hey, I would like to do it more often, because chances are that if they are in one specific niche, dog owners, skateboarders, whatever, they have other friends, they have other, connections in the same niche. So even a very small audience can be quite effective to bring other sales. And so to bring them, to do it more often, over time, I developed more of a system in which I offer them an affiliate fee, a commission on the sales that they generate. And this started actually with my customers, so they started from content that I saw published. I was like, wait, this is great content. Can I use it? Could you do it more often? And so on. And then I started reaching out, trying to build basically a crew of skateboarders that like to share content around where they cruise around. It doesn't have to be specific about the product. Of course, if they're using the product in their own lifestyle, it's actually even better. People can see themselves in what they're doing, and and that's how we got to, say, a year ago. Everything was really the process was there. Everything was quite manual though. In order to track their sales, I was using Amazon. I still am using Amazon attribution a lot, because when a sale comes in, Amazon, first of all, I can track how many clicks, how many sales that they generate. But second, it gives me back 10% as a brand referral bonus, which allows me to offer them a higher percentage. In general, I offer them at least 20%, sometimes even more, and I get 10% back. So it becomes comparable to maybe what I spend on PPC or something like that. You would have more, more depth in comparing the two things than me, if you But yeah.
Yeah. Well,
And so
okay,
the
but I think everything you're talking about is so logical and simple. But I think for the average person who hasn't tried to do this yet, they might not understand how complex what you just described is. Because there are a couple of things kind of working against you. The first thing is, generally speaking, you can't just easily track sales on Amazon. What you have to, like, sales from an external source. You have to use this thing called Amazon attribution. But the
yes,
problem with Amazon attribution is it's a your brand tool. It's not external. There's a different program called Amazon Associates, which a lot of influencers are used to using because it's like a really well trodden path. It's like, okay, you post on whatever platform you're popular with, call it Instagram for this example, and you say, hit the link in my bio to check out this specific product. And that's pretty cool. That definitely works. But the influencer only gets 5% a lot of the time, 7%
yeah,
maybe.
yeah,
And on top of that, you as the brand owner don't get to see any of the click data. Like, it's so frustrating because you have no idea if it works. And then on
absolutely.
top of that, well, I mean, you could ask the influencer to share it with you, but they won't. And even if they do, they're not going to, like, it's not going to be easy. What are you going to ask for their login or ask them to make you a user? Like, the
Yeah,
whole thing just is incredibly challenging because on one side, the influencers don't want to use your Amazon Associates link because they don't get paid on that link unless you offer to compensate them. But then they have to trust you based on your data, which
100%.
again, really hard. There's this set of incentives that just don't line up. People go past each other. And
Yeah,
I,
yeah.
I wanted to clarify that because what you're talking about sounds very simple, but it's actually so hard to get right.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You hit the spot fully because as I was doing is, and as you do it, like you end up like having like people with more following or like at least more relevant content creators interested in promoting. That's how it works. Like the small ones start, and then others like, oh, this is cool, and then you end up like with people like 50,000, 100,000 wanting to promote your product. When you get to the level is when you start seeing the two things you pointed out. First of all, they already are used to affiliate commissions maybe, but they use Amazon Associates instead. Even if they make 4 or 5%, they trust that they're gonna get paid. There's a trust problem there because you as a brand, I can offer 20%, 25%, which sounds amazing compared to 5, but then they, unless you build a relationship over some time, there's a trust thing. Like, what if they're going to ask, like, did I make any sale? Because they don't have visibility on those. And I have to say yes or no and how much and I started sharing screenshots, video recordings of my Seller Central, Amazon attribution, that just because I wanted to be extremely transparent. At the same time, this, hit the tipping point has been this is a story I share with you, but basically at some point with my pet brand, I started like contacting all these people with dogs that I thought would be my ideal customers. Would you like to use it? They say yes. I send them a sample. All this is very back and forward manual via messaging. One of them, and they post and I send them a link, and sometimes they sell, sometimes they don't. One of them, when I reach out to say, hey, have you ever had a chance to try it? She was like, oh, yes, my pig loves it. And I was like, what are we talking about? So it turns out that this lady had a dog with like, I don't remember, 6,000 followers on Instagram, but she also has an influencer pig with 1.5 million followers on TikTok and 1 million followers on Instagram, like a very, very famous pig on social media,
Yeah.
and she was all excited. She was like, I'm gonna post about this next week. And so I tried. And so imagine with that scale, she does this. I don't know if she has a full-time job, but like she definitely gets an income out of it. So she has a system in place. I tried as much as I could to offer like, hey, I'll send you a link. Like, this is the link. There's 20% and everything. But she didn't refuse or anything. But when she shared it, she used the Amazon Associates link, getting that 5% or whatever she got. Probably because, then the trust issue is there. Like, we just met, we just exchanged a couple of emails. She was excited, I was excited, but, there needs to be a better way to do this, And so
Hmm.
that is when I started looking into building a solution that could facilitate this whole process. I happen to
Hmm.
be also a software engineer, so that helps. And so about a few months ago, now I think it's been 3 or 4 months that I started this project. I
Hmm.
built a tool called Coral, and it's an affiliate management software for Amazon brands, connecting Amazon brands with creators and influencers. And what it does is basically it plugs into the Amazon attribution of the brand, and it shows the same data to the creators that generated those sales for their sales, of course, and
Hmm.
and to the brand for all the creators and affiliates that they work with. So this way, at least there's a third-party platform that handles the trust and also automates payments. So at that point, once a sale is tracked and a commission has been promised, is accounted and paid, and that's creating. And first of all, this streamlines also the generation of the attribution link. Like it's basically plug and play for the affiliate to just sign up. They get a link, they share it on the minutes later, and they could
Hmm.
already generate sales and get paid. And so this, first of all, saved a lot of my time when I started using it with the people I used to work with. But
Yeah.
then allows me also to approach this bigger influencers or famous pigs on Instagram, whoever, with a more solid proposition. It's like, hey, there is this system. You can work with other brands through the same system, but at least the communication is pretty seamless at that point. And so yeah, that is I started using it on my own brands, like the pet brand. More recently, I started also with the skateboard brand.
Oh,
It's also
wow.
like I notice it works. It's more attractive if you have a product, I guess, that it's over, I'd say, $50 in sales price, because you can offer like a 20%. I'm trying to make it very attractive. I'm offering 30% to some of them. My skateboard sells
Hmm.
to for $120. That's 30+ dollars each sale. So like, even if you're and the people are like, oh, I just bought this skateboard, I posted on Instagram because I liked it, and then I
Hmm.
reach out, my VA reach out and says, hey, if you want to get $32 every sale, sign up here. They're pretty, it's hard to say no in this case.
Yeah. So that's actually really interesting. I never really thought about the use cases that make a lot of sense. I guess the higher price points, it becomes a lot more attractive because the commission represents a higher dollar value. Maybe if you're an influencer with 100,000 followers on Instagram and you're promoting like some supplement, you're like, I don't want to go through the effort of signing up to do like to get a higher commission on like a $20 product. But when it suddenly is like a higher price product, that's where people get really interested, right? Is that what you're kind of saying? Is like that seems to be where people
Yeah,
really
yeah.
get
It,
excited.
I think it balances like these two main types of people I use Coral with. One is influencers that have already maybe a following, a big following. Generally, I never pay for this. It's always a relationship based thing. So I send them the product, no commitment. Tell me if you like it. If they like it, generally they are asking me like, "Hey, I'm gonna post. Do you have a link I can share?" And so that's when the
Mm,
collaboration starts, because that's what they do. They like to do great content, much better than the one I can make. And
hmm.
if they don't like it, it's fine. I don't want someone who doesn't like the product to talk about it anyway. So generally, that's how it starts, and that's one category. And since they have already some following, maybe for them even a lower ticket product is fine, because they know that they have a big distribution, so they can send multiple units with one piece of content. The other
Yeah.
category are my own customers. You can call them ambassadors if they start getting on board. So they're not necessarily influencers. They don't do it as a job. They maybe have 1,000 followers, 2,000 followers. They're friends. But
Yeah.
for them, if it's like, post another time, I can make two sales and I close, $70. It's like, well, that's it. So for them that don't have a lot of distribution, the single ticket item of a higher price is actually pretty attractive. And the more seamless is the process to just sign up, you get like, there's not a lot of back and forward. You don't have to wait for me to send you the link.
Hmm.
The fact that I'm trying to make it as easy as possible to do it
Mm,
both sides, and that helps also someone who's not necessarily, it's not their job, is that they didn't even think about it, but when they are offered, they tend to say yes.
yeah. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. The other thing that I think is really interesting about this approach is like there are something no one really talks about is people are like, oh, you could use the TikTok shop, you could use Facebook shops, you could use your own Shopify website. But what no one ever really talks about is that Amazon is a conversion machine. It's
Yes.
such a, it has like a substantially higher conversion rate than any of these other websites. And like, if you're able to get somebody to post about your product and then have that post kind of like show up with a, and say like, hit the link in my bio or whatever, and have somebody go straight to your highest converting page on the internet, that seems like an insane no-brainer opportunity.
Yeah.
I just like, I can't believe no one tried to solve this before you. Like, not to be rude, just like, I don't know why no one's thought about this yet.
No, that's true. That's true. And conversion rate is also why, like, aside this affiliates funnel that I run,
Mm-hmm.
I generally, like, even from my own website, yes, I have Shopify. I could, someone checks out over there, but I always try to send them to Amazon in the end to check. I offer a little discount or something, then they get to Amazon. It's also attribution, so I get the 10% back. If you compare, like, oh yeah, Amazon takes 15% commission on average, and Shopify, the payment processing is like 3% roughly, 2.9. So, but
Yeah.
then Amazon gives you back 10% from brand referral bonus. So basically what you paid Amazon is 5% versus 3% to Shopify, but you are like feeding this flywheel that makes you rank higher. Amazon takes care,
Mm-hmm.
like, all the distribution, like FBA delivers is Prime. I don't know. I think, as you said, like, the conversion is so high because people are comfortable and prefer to shop on Amazon if they can.
Well, it also just seems like a no-brainer value proposition. Would you pay 2% higher fees for double the conversion rate? If you say no, you're crazy, because that is a winning value proposition every single time. Like, I don't know what your Shopify conversion rate for your best-selling product is, but I would
No.
be willing to bet it's at least double. At
Oh
least.
yeah, yeah. It's more. It's more. It's more. It's like 5x or something like that. And it's a, no, no. It's a, it's no, no. It's true. And I guess it's also a good practice. I mean, if you're a huge brand, I guess diversifying channels can be a strategy. But like, up to, I don't know, even 8 figures, like, focusing on one and owning it is generally like a
Hmm.
good practice. I hear many people like say too, because then you have overflow in the other channels anyway. But like, if you are the brand for X on Amazon, that means something. Like, people like you show up everywhere. So I think that helps too.
Yeah. I work with a couple of sellers who they'll either hit 8 figures this year or they'll be just under. And they're still solely focused on Amazon. They're like,
There you go.
our 2026 plans are to start their start their Shopify marketing machine back up, but through 2025, going full send on just more Amazon, launching new products, doubling down on their winners, cutting their losers, turning some of their like mid sellers into best sellers. And if you think about it, what's changed between 2017 and now, in my opinion, is that Amazon has become even more entrenched in everyone's shopping habits. Amazon comes to our house at least once a week. It would be weird if Amazon, I bet you there's an Amazon guy who's like, oh, I'm not going there this week. That's weird. Like, because it's just like, it's so entrenched in everyone's shopping habits that it would be crazy not to be a place to to send external traffic. And
No,
so
absolutely.
I think what you're talking about is really important.
And it's said, there's a lot of speculation on what the algorithm is and how it changes over time. But it said that external traffic, Amazon rewards, external
Hmm.
converting, high converting external traffic, more than ever. And so, because they want to get that traffic, so that's also a good moment to actually start working. I mean, yeah, you could run, Facebook ads and Google ads and send it, but like, those are the ones that over time, at least in my experience, they got more expensive. There's more competition, and working with content creators, it's, over time, you have free exposure. Yeah, the cost
Hmm.
per impression, yes, at the beginning you have to do, to set up the thing. Maybe you have to send out the sample. That's a cost. But then after that, you only pay if they generate a sale. There's no the cost of impression. It keeps going lower and lower if they keep posting, right? Like,
Yeah.
so I don't know. I think, and there's maybe a couple of other things. So since the first time I mentioned to you Coral in this tool, I've been working with other brands sign up. Especially there's a couple of like 7-figure brands that are using it, and they're helping me a lot, also guiding me into adding features, adjusting some things. Because the good thing is like it's a startup project, so I can be very fast in changing something. They asked me something 2 days later, I was like, hey, try it out, like and then this led this led to adding a feature that makes a lot of sense if you think about it. So some content create, like let's say you are an influencer with a French bulldog. Chances are you know a lot of other French bulldogs and other people that are content creators, maybe not as big as you or maybe similar to you in the same niche. And if you find, that promoting my French bulldog product brings you good revenue, and like you have commissions and you are happy about the product, first of all, you're gonna add a good product. There's no faking this. Like influencer faking promoting products, they don't convert. So you don't try that. Like people need to like what you made, and then that everything is gonna line up. But the thing is, like, this person knows others like that. So what a feature that they asked me and I added is somehow basically a referral fee. So a 2-level fee. Like let's say this, I don't know, Janet has a French bulldog and knows a lot of other French bulldogs. She gets affiliate fees for the content she creates, but then she onboards other 10 creators, and
Mhm.
me as a brand, I can decide to give Janet another 1% for each sale that the other content creators make. So this creates like a pyramid of you start like having referrals of referrals of referrals, and everything is pretty streamlined. So it sounds complex, but once you're just basically offering another incentive, not only to post but to find other people who would be interested in promoting it, and this is working
Mm.
too.
Wow, I'm not surprised. That does make sense. I'm gonna title this episode "Paolo Starts a Pyramid Scheme." Like, no, I'm just,
When I say pyramid, people are very skeptical, but there's no there's
yeah,
no
you're like,
Ponzi
no, no,
behind
no.
it.
Yeah, no, I'm just messing around. But yeah, that's really interesting. So does a brand offer that to the creator? Is that the
Yeah,
way that
it's
works?
an option. Yeah, it's an option.
Yeah.
You can offer creators a referral fee. Again, it's very, everything is very customizable. Otherwise, you
Hmm.
can have a default setup for everybody and not touch it. But generally, what brands do, what I started doing is like when someone seems effective in their content that they the sales they create with their content, that's when like hey, would do you know other people like you? I was like, oh yeah, I can think of some. I was like, okay, how about you take care of like sending them to my affiliate program, so I can, yeah, because before, that's what happened before. Manually, people say like, oh, you should contact these other 3 profiles, those are my buddies, like some I meet
Hmm.
in person, and then it does work, but it takes time. And instead, you
Yeah.
offer like, hey, if you bring them in, I'll switch this on, and every sale that they make, you get a percentage of those too, onwards. And so they start to be active not only in promoting the product but also in promoting the program to other people.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really, really cool. So you mentioned these, like, I think that feature on its own is amazing. That is so smart. But you mentioned you have a couple of 7-figure brands that are working with you. What are those guys doing that's working? Like what are they doing that's kind of leading to them making lots of sales through influencers?
Good. So what I see especially is that they follow like, it's not a transactional model in which they also know that this is a startup, and so they are like onboarding the creators, they're briefing them, so they have a relationship with these creators they work with. And then I can see the profiles. They don't work with like 2 or 3 creators with like millions of followers. They work with like dozens that have 10,000 followers or something like that.
Mm,
So that's one thing that I notice is like many small ones seem probably in the right niche are more effective than a few big ones that are maybe more spread out, the more generals, because the conversion for that content to sales is higher.
hmm. Hmm.
Mm. And the second thing is that they're creating like these communities. So they always have yeah, actually those 2 brands do. They have a community of their creators. So they either have
Oh, wow.
an email list or a Facebook group in which they actually keep them updated on things. And maybe, in fact, it was like, oh, I'm gonna email like a portion of my list to tell them to come to your platform. So we tested the onboarding. We did some things to actually. It's very helpful for me because I run my own brand, but it's good to see other brands' workflows. Actually, this is my priority now, is to learn as much as possible how I can make Coral helpful for all the workflows I see around of collaborating with creators. And so what they do is like they have this community in which they keep them up to date to their marketing initiatives, new product launches, and this is off Amazon. And then they send, they connect this with their Amazon store for conversion, for ranking, and all the things we talked about. So I guess these two things are the main ones I've seen working so far. To feed this, there's a feature I haven't developed yet, but I promised that I will, so I can give you so
Yeah.
to have more, basically to build this email list of like people in your niche. Again, it comes from more influencer like people, but also it comes from customers, right? Like some people that are excited about the product and they happen to post about it on their social media. So the feature involves creating a small, basically, landing page where there's a chance for whoever clicked on the influencer's post, instead of going straight to Amazon, they will go to this landing page to possibly get a discount. That's, again, the brand will decide, leaving their email, and then be directed to Amazon, still tagged with an Amazon attribution link. So as of now, right? Because this has two benefits. First of all, they capture an email. They can use it for asking for reviews, but they can also use it to say, hey, join the program next time. So you will be the one posting and do the things. And the second advantage is that this, in that landing page, you can already say what's the price. Like you basically give all the information that they have on Amazon and then say buy on Amazon. So they know they're going to buy on Amazon, but they click it basically filters out the browsers. They already had all the information. They'll come back to it. But at the same time, you get on Amazon very high converting traffic in that case, because this landing page basically filtered out the ones that maybe would not buy anyway, And so they asked me for this, and I think I'm gonna build it.
Yeah. I mean, it's a strategy I've heard of before. Like, hey, we actually are capturing emails. Like you can get a special discount on top of the regular discount by coming here and doing this. That is really well thought out. And I have heard of other people doing it. The thing that's great though, is you're actually able to capture the email with that playbook. Like that is really, really effective.
Yeah,
What are you
because if you do
noticing?
it, oh yeah, sorry, just to add that if you try to, you can try to do it on your own. Like, of course, you can have a landing page, but then if you still want to attribute sales to each individual content creator, you would have to have one landing page per creator, which becomes infinite. And so instead, this way, being within Coral, within the platform, you set up one landing page per product, of course, whatever you want to. And then the traffic that lands and then goes out from it is going to be attributed to that specific creator who sent it, because everything happens inside the platform. So it's true that like this kind of feature, it would be quite hard to do it, just patching different platforms or different services together.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that could be really, really hard to do, and like would take a lot of work to put together for just one. And then to
Right.
scale it would be, yeah, it becomes infinite so quickly. When it comes to the brands, like, and your brands as well, pretty much any brands, but when it comes to reaching out and kind of getting influencers on board and kind of like getting people working with your brand, what is the best practice? What are these brands doing? What are your brands doing? Like, what's working for people?
So I can tell you what I've been doing and
Hmm.
what yeah, and we communicate. So what they do the same, and then what I
Hmm.
hope to enable with Coral, with the platform, which is not yet done. So what we do is, let's say your channel of preference for now, let's say it's Instagram. You go on Instagram and you follow with your brand or your personal account, honestly, the
Hmm.
ideal profiles. You don't go by necessarily follower count, but you go by like, oh,
Hmm.
this would be my ideal customer. This is perfect. I think, my pet product, for example, treat dispenser. I need a food motivated, medium-sized dog. That's the perfect,
Hmm.
target for my thing. So I find them, I find these dogs, I see that they're like active and feisty and they're very food motivated. So like, okay, this is perfect. So you find this ones, you follow one, and then you get suggested profiles after you follow one. So you end up
Mm-hmm.
like priming this algorithm to suggest your ideal customer, but also ideal content creator on social media. And then
Yeah.
I track them at this time on a spreadsheet because Coral doesn't do it yet, but that's
Mm-hmm.
where I want to go.
Okay.
From
Yeah.
that social media, from that spreadsheet, I still do a lot of the first-hand outreach just because I believe in creating this relationship with this person. So my VA, she's worked with me for a while, so she can speak the language of the brand, let's say. But
Mm-hmm.
for a new product and for a first approach, I generally write in first person, say, "Hey, it's Paolo. This is my
Mm-hmm.
brand. I love to send you a product. I love your content, of course. Like, yeah, no copy paste, really. Like, it's like, so it takes some time, but like, say, like, oh, I loved your video about this,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe I comment for a bit. Like, you basically want to build a relationship, like to see that like you really
Yeah.
like what their content, and then you say like, hey, by the way, I make this. I love you to send you one, and I specify no cost, no commitment. I'll pay for everything, and that's your
Mm-hmm.
investment. I'd say most, very few times you don't get anything back. Like you say like, oh, I'm gonna send 100 and one is gonna post. That doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
If you approach it this way, non-transactional and relationship-based, they would not reply to your messages if they're not interested. And so if they do, they're gonna be nice and they're gonna, it needs a little follow-up. You're not the first person in their life, but it's
Yeah.
there's a little back and forward via DMs on Instagram, but you end up having like
Mm-hmm.
a line of I would say a pipeline of people
Mm-hmm.
that are either receiving the sample, they already received it, they still have to try it, and then they generally eventually they're more and more proactive, and they will get back to you saying like, I tried it this day, it went great, or was like, oh, I have a question, happy to answer. That actually gives you a lot of information of the things that you may add to your packaging or the things that they don't understand. So that's actually very informative for me too for product development. But
Mm-hmm.
then, since they are generally on social media, you found them that way.
Mm-hmm.
90% of the ones that said that they tried it, they'll say, "Oh, I plan to post this day." You made it very clear from the start that you were not asking for it, but they will
Mm-hmm.
offer it because that's what they do, and they find that it could be fun to actually share this experience. And that's, I guess, step one. So this is the process that gets to the first post. I'd say I don't know what the other brands do, but the first post, are like, I just make it happen. Let's say, like, I just like, oh, fantastic. Let me know. I repost it. And then after they
Mm-hmm.
do it, I'll maybe offer affiliate fees to keep it going. Like, because otherwise, I'm afraid that it makes it too
Mm.
transactional, immediately throwing, whatever arrangement. But
Interesting.
then,
Okay.
yeah, the second step would be, would you like to join? We have this program, no commitment
Mm-hmm.
again, but you just get this link, and then whenever you want to share it, if you make sales, you see it here, and they're paid automatically to your account. That's it. So this is a high level funnel that is happening. The first part is manual. It's also to
Mm-hmm.
build a relationship, automating building a relationship. It needs there's some nuances, but some things can be streamlined, I feel. And so on Coral, right now, brands are signing up and they're bringing their own creators, let's say. There's no discovery
Mm-hmm.
feature at the moment, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
filling up, now I have more brands and I have more creators. The idea is that at some point there can be a matching, feature in which you start, creators can find your brand and you can find creators, and it will be like a little more organic to find each other already with this type of relationship in mind.
Yeah. I mean, to me, this is such a no-brainer. It's such a easy opportunity. I did have a couple of clarifications. So you won't offer them a link for the first post generally, unless they ask for it. Is that kind of the best
Yes, yeah,
practice?
yes, I'd say, yeah. So, but it happens a lot that they actually ask for a link
Mm-hmm.
and for a
Yeah.
discount to their audience.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you have to work that in if you want. That's going to be your offering. There's going to be also a discount
Mm-hmm.
code, but the discount is optional. You don't say, oh, I'm not going to post if there's no discount. They're doing it because they're excited about the product. And if
Mm-hmm.
they ask, then I say, yeah, of course, this is a link. And by the way, you're gonna earn this much, every time you generate a sale. And I send the link of the program to sign up because it's actually I made it so it's not a copy paste link, but it's so streamlined for them that a minute later they have already the link ready to share. Um, but yeah, I don't offer right away for not making this relationship transactional from the start, which I think pays off longer term. Like, and I see other
Mm,
brands. We I don't see them like I asked, and then they say like, yeah,
yeah.
that's a lot of what they do, like relationship first, and then affiliates, and over time, since they last, you build like a good amount of people that recurrently talk about your products. It doesn't have to be promotional all the times, but then they use it in their everyday life. So it kind of happens that they use it another time. It's
Mhm.
like, oh, this is a cool video, and they're gonna share it again.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, the other thing too, especially with the way that organic algorithms have changed, like if you post something on Instagram, only like I think 10% of your followers end up seeing it naturally.
Also true. Yeah.
Yeah, somebody told me, like I ran into an old friend and they told me like, oh yeah, I just did this. I was like, really? They're like, yeah, you didn't see on Instagram? I'm like, no, like I mostly see memes. Like I don't
Yeah.
even see my friends post and I want to see them. So yeah, like it makes sense to repost because there's a big portion of their audience that doesn't even end up seeing this stuff. I had another clarification. Have you built in the ability to add a promo code into Coral? Like, is that something you've done too?
I haven't done it yet, so it's definitely doable. It just takes the time to develop that feature.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm listening to my first early adopters of Coral, and they didn't ask me for that yet. So which means that
Okay.
not probably, they're not doing it as part of their default offering, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning that if you want to send a discount just to the few creators, or like maybe it's time bound, they have some
Yeah.
whatever Black Friday discount or something like that. They still have they handle it, internally. But that's definitely
Mm-hmm.
doable, and probably it happened to me honestly. Like they asked like, oh, if you have a discount, I'll share with my audience. So maybe that's another part of that's a feature that can come up soon.
Yeah. Yeah, because I'm just thinking about the workflow and like thinking about the process of like, okay, I've developed a relationship with this influencer. They want to do a post. They want to make sure their audience gets a really good deal, but you can't create a promo code like you could on Shopify. Like you have to go into Amazon's backend and create one that
Yeah.
specifically interplay. Like it's kind of a
Yeah.
pain.
That's
Yeah.
also a pain. Yeah, yeah, I fully agree. Yeah, that's true. And another one that might be, a next step
Hmm.
is on the first part of this of this approach of this process that we talked. Like when you send a sample, potentially it can be
Hmm.
automatically be sent from your FBA inventory, right? It can be like a
Hmm.
merchant fulfilled order that Coral like plugs in and sends it out. Like they just need to fill up like their address. As of now, they send me the address via DM. I save it,
Hmm.
and then my VA creates a merchant fulfillment order. It's so those are all things that can be streamlined as well. So
Hmm.
maybe we can touch base in a few months, and we're gonna have all these things.
Yeah. I mean, that's really cool. Like it's just the fact that you have found a way to take stuff that all technically exists, but for one reason or another, people at Amazon refuse to plug together. Like it's so smart to me. I think you're doing something that is highly necessary and also will probably benefit Amazon and the people who sell on Amazon in the long term because suddenly you have a new, very well streamlined funnel that you can use to grow your Amazon brand. So I think what you're doing is awesome.
Yeah, yeah. No, thank you. And maybe one other, not actor, one other topic in this conversation is Amazon Creator Connections. We didn't mention it at all, but it's definitely within the scope of like affiliate marketing, right? And
Hmm.
it can work. Well, first of all, the interface, I dare to say, is a little confusing on the Amazon dashboard side. I hope they fix it soon, because it's like to actually understand who made the sale, it took me like
Mm.
way more time than it should have taken. But that is I don't know, it's effective, but every time it's a new campaign, let's say, and it's harder to actually customize it. So instead, this way, like a program made for brands and creators to connect and create like a partnership in which you can give them
Hmm.
like a special affiliate fee. So not everybody gets 30%. Like the default maybe is 20, and then the ones I really like and I know that they're, gonna crush it, they get 30
Mm-hmm.
instead. Like that's again, Creator Connections
Mm-hmm.
is like flat for everybody. And then the ones who posted, maybe I managed to collect their email, maybe against terms of services of Amazon. I don't know, so I can reach out the next time. But
Mm-hmm.
I have no guarantee that the same ones are gonna see my next campaign and do it again, for example. So the as a brand that is, yes, Amazon is your high converting shopping cart, but as a brand that exists beyond
Mm-hmm.
Amazon, I think it's limiting to use just Creator Connection, and that's also why I didn't stick to it, and I decided to start from outside of Amazon and then bring it to Amazon after. What's your
Paolo, I
experience with
must
that? You
say,
had some experience with Creator Connection.
I was going to say that is the most polite review of Creator Connections I have ever heard. Normally, there are some more strongly worded statements. Yeah.
I can see that.
Like, I've heard people throw around words like garbage or ineffective or dumpster
Yeah, yeah.
fire. Yeah, yeah, no. But I mean, look, I think there's a time and a place for Creator Connections. Creator Connections does produce some results, so it's not completely pointless. It's just that it ignores a lot of the best practices that have been established on every other platform. And instead, it kind of feels like they're trying to take a square peg and shove it through a round hole. And so,
Yeah, I like that.
I'm going to save the rest of my choice words for another time. And instead, I'm just going to call out that I really, really think that what you're doing here is so smart. And I think it's got a bright future in front of it. So
Thank you.
we
I
mentioned it a
appreciate
couple
it.
times, but where can people find you on the internet? I would love to kind of send everyone off with something cool to do. So yeah, what tell people where they can find you.
So they can check the Coral on joincoral.com. I'll send the link so it can be shared,
Mm,
and they can find me primarily on X.
mm,
My username is Dobrolab. I can share that too.
nice.
But yeah, since I'm pretty hands-on, I'm not outsourcing much. Maybe it's the beginning of a startup, but like any email that gets sent to any of my brands or Coral or any message on X, it will be Paolo replying, and then the recurrent back office. I have VAs and all the things, but like I like to be on top of things when I'm starting them out. So like I'll I don't know, I don't mind putting my face out. So it's like, this is Paolo. Hi, how can I help you with this? So we're not a team.
Look, Paulo, I think we've known each other for a while. I'm a big fan of the stuff you've done. I like your products too. And
Thank you.
yeah, I'm excited about this platform, and I'm glad that we got to talk about it today because you do solve a huge problem for a lot of brands on Amazon. So yeah,
Thank you. Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you. I
Thanks for
enjoyed the
being here.
conversation.
And until next time, thanks everyone for tuning in.